So the third main type of the this parasitology or the entomology, the main type is medical entomology, and so it is the branch of medical science which deals with the study of harmful insects and to man and his domestic animals, such as the medical entomology studies the life cycle, the morphology and pathogenic effect, and some diseases caused by them are studied in medical entomology. So you are see that the this picture of the uh, Genopsila. This is the Genopsila are the fleas uh, from the rat which have spreaded or the transmits the bacillus of these bubonic plague to the man, which have caused severe deaths in India in early 60s. Okay, so this is caused by this Genopsila. This is the flea of this plague, and it is the causing the disease known as the plague. So there is a fourth branch is or the next recent branch of the entomology known as the uh, forensic entomology, and this forensic entomology the it is the recent branch of the applied entomology, and in which the study of insects and other arthropods found in or and on the human bodies suspected of the criminal action. Okay, suspected of the criminal actions to help in the investigation and initiation of civil proceedings. Okay, from forensic entomology. From forensic entomology, one can only know the time of the occurrence of a crime or the murder, which of course can go a long way in solving the mystery of the crime. The insects provide the information because they habitually feed or breed on or inside the corpse. That means they are feed on that flesh, dead material or these dead flesh, and breed inside that flesh, and they do so more accurately because their precisely timed developmental stages are studied. That means the eggs, larvae, pupae and the adults, these are the life cycle of these dipterians, and so in which stage that dipterians are, they have, if they have laid eggs, then these the life cycle of the diphtheria having the tenure of the they have some distinct time to each in each stage. So in which stage that is the but that stage of this diphtherian life cycle is, so that's why they exactly know the how much time is since death. So those insects give the clue to the time since death. Okay, an example of the such dipterians are the flesh fly, blowfly, screwworms, and the uh, winter gnat. Or these all are the sarcophagi, and these all are feed on the muscles. Okay, and thus during the investigation the stages of the insect getting the clue for this bowfly or the screw fly. Okay, and we are going to see some general terminologies of the parasitology, like there are some general concepts of parasitology, like the host, parasite, vector, biological vector, or the mechanical vector. These are the terminologies generally asked for the 1 mark in these our university exam. So let's begin with these concepts. So hosts, uh, host is an organism which harbor the parasite in or on its own body is called a host. Thus, the host supports the life of parasite, and the parasite uh, derives the benefit at the expense of the host. Okay, and in many parasitic relationships, parasite parasite is always benefited, and the host is injured or get harmed. In the parasite host relationship, the host is always uh, larger partner than the parasite. Okay, so parasite is always going to search in search of the host, but they are in search of host like the host should be the big, and it having the more resources than of its for the day-to-day activity or the and hence parasites obtain various benefits such as shelter, nutrition, reproduction, and development from host. Okay, the parasite depend on the host, and permanent host parasite system is formed. Okay, so depending on the need of that parasite, the hosts are classified into different types uh, that we will study in chapter 3rd. Okay, so the next terminology or next term is a parasite. The parasite is a living organism uh, in that may be the animal or the plant which receives the nourishment and shelter uh, partly or wholly from another organism. That means the a parasite is which receives the shelter and nourishment from the host. Okay, and these thus the parasite are metabolically dependent on the host, and derives the benefit from the host. Okay, so therefore parasite live at the cost of their host. Okay, so parasitism is an association in which the parasite derives benefit and the host gets nothing in return, but always suffers some injury, however the slightly the injury may be. Okay, the host at the some time offers some residence to injury done by the parasite, and there may be the some adaptations, the tolerance between the parasite and the host. The host body is getting tolerated with these parasites, and a parasite has a lot its power of independent life. Okay, the parasite are classified in various ways depending on their taxonomy, habitat, or location, and the degree of its parasitism, uh, the variety of host and location. These are the some classification of these parasites, and lo- location and its body and behavior. These all classification we are going to study in detail, which are described in the chapter 2nd. Okay, the next term is a vector. So the vector is the most is the host animal, which is generally invertebrate and arthropod or the mollusk. So these are the three phyla. From these phyla, the animals are the uh, which are causing the naming the work. called the vector, and they transfers the parasite from one vertebrate host to another. So thus vectors are nothing but the carriers of these parasites. Okay, so they play an important role of mechanical transfer as well as the biological transfer, and the term vector is used to describe the almost all kinds of host except the definitive host, the arthropods and many others invertebrates that serves as the host as well as the carrier for the protozoan and the other smaller parasites. Okay, and these the examples of these are so various species of the mosquito serves as a vector for the protozoan malarial parasites like the plasmodium species. uh, the some mosquitoes like the Culex mosquito transmits the Wucheria bancrofti, that is uh, the parasites of the filaria, or the tsetse fly, that is scientific name or the tsetse fly is Glossina species, and transmit the trypanosoma species causing the seeping sickness. The and sandfly transmit the leishmania pneumoniae, like the in the sandfly causing the kala azar fever. Okay, and likewise there are some vectors which are causing the or which are transmitting the parasites to the up to the host. Okay, so these vectors are classified into the two main categories, that are the biological vector and the mechanical vector. So biological vector are an insects may not only to be a vector of a disease producing organism, but the germs of parasite undergo some developmental changes in the body of the insect, or may multiply in the um, host, or the may multiply in the that vector. Okay, so named as the biological vector. Such process is termed biological transmissions, and the vector is called biological vector. So we are going to see in the plasmodium species, in case of the these malaria or these malarial parasite undergoes a cycle of development into the mosquito itself. Though the mosquito called as the vector of this malaria, and but the completion of the one life cycle of this parasite, malarial parasite, de- uh, is done within the mosquito itself, and then this plasmodium species is get entered into the saliva, and that we all know that the mosquito is releasing saliva while the time of biting, and it secretes the heparin through that saliva. But with that heparin or that saliva, the mosquito is going to transmit the malarial parasite, that is the plasmodium species. So this the mechanism of that mosquito, that why that mosquito is how that mosquito is transmitting that the malarial parasite in the uh, human blood, and why that mosquito is named as the biological vector. Okay, so you will know the clear and cut difference between the biological vector and the mechanical vector over here. So the second terminology in the vector is the mechanical vector, and the vector which transmits the pathogen from one host to the another without any developmental of pathogen, okay, in the vector body, and their bodies are called as the, so they are called as a mechanical vector. So the example of the mechanical vector are the housefly carries the varieties of diseases causing germ and their bodies, and carry them to the host, or they transfers the germs through their saliva or the feces. So Here the role of the saliva with these diphtherians are the when the diphtheria fly or the housefly going to sit, that they have the sponging and lapping type of the mouth part, and what they are going to do with this food ingestion, that the mechanism by the lapping and the uh, siphoning type. So what this generally fluid is going to do, that they are regretting out the saliva through the proboscis, and they are going to apply on the food, and they are going to uh, convert the solid fluid into the semi solid condition, and then they going to engulf that. So by that, the saliva, some pathogens are going to get um, resides on our skin, or the our uh, utensils from the our home, the kitchen appliances. So the housefly carry varieties of diseases, causing germ on the bodies and carry them to the host, or they transfers the germ through their saliva feces. Okay, saliva or the feces. Feces means their after the digestion, they are going to liberate out some undigested food material, is known as the feces in the scientific terminologies. So the houseflies are dangerous, and they transmits organism which cause diarrhea, typhoid, or the bacillary and the amoebic dysentery, and in some cases cholera is transmitted by the houseflies too. So next terminology is the commensalism. So commensalism are the term which literally means the eating at the same table, and it is the loose form of the association uh, for getting some shelter, food, and the defense. Okay, so it is one sort of a loose association to get shelter, food, and the defense. So commensalism, commensations involves and unbalanced relationship, often benefiting one of the partner. Okay, so here one partner is benefited, so the other remaining unbenefited and unharmed. So other get benefited, or the get unharmed. So it causal to um, designate one or the partners as the host and the other as the guest. Okay, so when two or more animals live together, and if there is no physiological dependence between them, so they are referred as commensals. Okay, and commensals which are simply attached to the outer surfaces of the host are called as the ectocommensals. Okay, and if commensals are found inside the host of host are known as the endocommensals. And the advantages derived by the commensals involves the provision of the substratum, sheltered, transport, and food. Okay, so the time, the respiratory and the nutritive requirements are obtained from the host. Okay, so you are going to see the one picture over here, that is the commensalism, hermit crab and the hydroid, between the hermit crab and hydroid. So these hydroids are get settled in on the this shell of this hermit crab. And what happen when the hermit crab is going to eat something, that the remainings of that hermit the remaining of these food or the deer, they get separated, escaped from these mm, hermit crab, going to benefit or the get nourished to the hydroids. Okay, so next terminology is the mutualism. Okay, so mutualism, it is an interesting type of symbiotic relationship. Okay, so whereby the both the partners of the association are benefited. So we have seen in the mutualism that the um, yeah, in commensalism that the only uh, uh, one animal from the association was getting the benefit. Okay, and this mutualism, the both the partners of the association are benefited. The association may be a continuous, transitory, or the obligate, or it may be the facultative type. Okay, the animal shows the metabolic inter interdependence, hence they live together for their existence. Okay, and the classical example of the mutualism is the termites having the flagellates protozoans in the elementary canal of these termites. Hence, what happens when termites are going to eat the wood? We are all know that this wood is made up of the high fibers that is known as the cellulose, and cellulose is undigestible to us. Why? That's why we are not eating the cellulose. Okay, but these flagellate protozoans in the alimentary canal of the termites are going to secrete one particular type of enzyme, and these cellulose get digested by the termites. Okay, so this is very interesting that the how evolution how termites are evolved, and they have established the symbiotic relationship with the flagellate protozoans. Okay, and the next terminology is the parasitism. So it is the association between the organism in which one organism lives on the other organism and utilizing the nourishment from it. Okay, a parasite is an organism which establishes a close and intimate physiological relationship with the other organism, usually bigger and the stronger than itself. Okay, and called the host. In this association, the parasite derives a benefit and the host get nothing in return, but it always suffers from the injury, as we have seen in the last terminologies. So, however, the parasite, in their efforts to pursue these life successfully and adapted various modifications and comprises to the life, and hence parasitism sometimes describes as a invisory with the compromise with um, the parasites, and never kill, but efficient parasites never kill the host but live in complete harmony with them by sharing their food. Okay, so the success of any parasitic association depends on entirely upon the uh, continued health and the welfare of the host. Okay, so but if the parasite enters an unusual host, both get failed. Okay, to make proper mutual adjustments, and so that their parasites association runs into trouble, get into the trouble, and may result in death of the one or the both. Okay, so the host parasitic relationship is attain a dynamic equilibrium when this association is a prolonged one. So prolonged means the it may should be a long distance relationship, and the hyperinfestations of these mm, uh, parasites may kill the host. Okay, so hyperinfestations means the overproduction of these means the parasite should going to acquire some resemblance that they are taking care that their young ones should be get thrown out of the body, and we are going to stay longer and longer time in between these host. Okay, so get we are going to get touch in the origin and the evolution of the parasite, that how this mm, concept one concept from the origin of parasite, like most origins, like largely a subject for the speculation, that as there exist very little factual evidences, parasites are believed to have existed for a very considerable time, and although there is no fossils evidences for these um, mm, parasites have been recorded, but the extensive modifications and the considerable time, although they are the uh, determined from these niche, must have been taken many millions of years to come about. The most the parallel complexities of the host with the reactions, they grown up with the host and they evolved themselves how host evolves parallelly. Okay, so the in importance of the pre-adaptations in the evolution of parasitism is a course of the development taken by the trypanosoma, or these can be taken with the consideration how trypanosoma get evolved, and we are going to see in detail in the upcoming chapters that the how trypanosoma get evolved, and how the trypanosoma going to modify itself to stay in the host. Okay, so the changes in the trypanosoma occurs, or the protein coat are embedded in on its own body, that the our antibody can't recognize, or the our macrophages can't recognize that trypanosoma. So these will be the very interesting to know, so we will study in the that particular chapter. So trypanosoma is the protozoan flagellate, and its several species are blood parasites of vertebrates, and evolved from its ancestors known as the phytomonas. So these are the uh, image which showing the three closely related flagellates, showing the stages in the evolutionary path from the plant latex to vertebrate blood. Okay, so the phytomonas are the parasites of the plants, and it are mainly occurs in the plants which have the abundance latex. Okay, so the herpetomonas are the parasite which are generally occurred in the herpetological, uh, the reptiles. Okay, so and these third one is a trypanosoma species, which is having the known as the blood parasite. So we are going to compare these parasitism. That means we are going to study in this comparison that the how parasite get uh, advantages or the hazards. By here the host is not in consideration, that the advantages for the parasite and the disadvantages for the parasites are seen in this particular slide. So there are some advantages to the parasitism, like the it is the best sheltered for this parasite. But while getting this bed shelter for itself, the for the survival of this parasite, it has to chase down the host, and otherwise it may die. So this parasite going to struggle to chase down the host, getting the host. Okay, and this for survival of this parasite, they need to get touch with this particular type of host. And the second advantage for this parasitism is the host body provides the constant and plenty of food to the parasite. Okay, and the second disadvantage is, after getting in, the parasite has to face the defense system of the host, and it has to adapt with the host reaction, which is going to invade after this parasitic uh, going parasitic infection. Okay, so and the third advantage uh, for the parasitism is the host body is a constant uh, assured environment for the parasite. But the disadvantages is that the after mutation, this parasite has to face is uh, the suitable after mutation. While fighting with this defense system, they are going to evolve, they are going to acquire some adaptations, or these they are going to acquire some mutations for the while fighting with this defense system of the host. And after this mutation, parasite has to face problem for the finding suitable mate for the reproduction. So they are going to live, but they are also struggling like us in our body, that they are never the condition are never going to easy for them, so they are going to evolve. So we are learning from them that the may conditions are not best for us, but we are going to accept, and we have to check some solutions on these uh, problems. Okay, so the parasite is going to sort the problems. And the last advantage or the disadvantage on the these parasites are hyper infestation may cause death of host. So they are going to take care that the so the many uh, much much infestation should not occur to the host, so their host may die, and their food supply and the best environmental conditions are going to vanish. So though the host dies, the parasite will be die. Okay, so we are going to stop here, and hopefully we are get in touch with the next lecture. So thank you one and all.